the launch of the Refugee Language Education Unit. And I will leave it here to my colleague, Professor Liu and staff.
Thank you very much, Kuka. Hello, everyone. I know it's been a long conference. It's been an exciting conference. It's been a hot conference. We have 15 minutes. We're just quickly going to launch an initiative we put a lot of effort into, a lot of heart into, and a lot of thought into. We see y'all as stakeholders, people we'll be collaborating with. So please, as you are listening to this, think of feedback, think of guidance, think of places we should focus on. And thank you. I think we're about all set.
Thank you very much for staying on. It has been a long day. So I'll also thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to launch Cambridge Refugee Language Education Unit. So I'm Yongcan. I'm based in the Faculty of Education. I also support TUBA and co-direct the Center for the Study of Global Human Movement. So in a minute, so between Zach Denton, who is also based in Faculty of Education, we are going to just say a little bit about the focus of the Refugee Language Education Unit. I will begin with 3 very succinct messages that I will pass on to Zach to explain a little bit about the details. So the first key message is that we are going to focus on care and learn, as you can see from the provisional acronym of the unit. So care, learn. So we care the learning of displaced children and young people, and then we want to empower displaced learners through language and scholarship. As you can see, there are 2 dimensions there. One is care, the other one is empower, and we want to do it through language and scholarship. So that is the first key message. The second key message is that it's even simpler, which is that the field language is very important, but the field is fragmented. And then we are doing that here in Cambridge. So language is always very important, but it hasn't been sort of discussed in a very coherent way. So we're going to do it in Cambridge and try to bring all the different elements of language within a coherent framework. That leads to the third key message, which is that a unique approach to this unit. As you can see in this diagram, and typically the literature and research in this field about language tends to focus on language of schooling, medium instruction, and language across the curriculum. However, there are 2 other dimensions. One is traditional and foreign language education and learning. And the most important thing probably is the home and heritage and indigenous and home language maintenance, which is also very important. So what we try to do in this unit is to take a very unique approach to look at the dynamics of the 3 dimensions and hopefully to develop a coherent approach. At this point, I'll pass on to Zach and to explain a little bit more details about the unit. Over to you, Zach. Appreciate you.
So our leadership in this team is Yongcan, who is a wonderful introduction himself. My name is Zach Denton. I am supervised by Yongcan Liu, and I work in transit and language education. So I know we're talking about care, learn. We're talking, oh, I saw someone taking a photo. I can slow down for that. Please don't let me rush you. Thank you so much. So the big question is why now? Why are we talking about care, learn? Why are we talking about refugee language education? I'm going to start by quoting a few of our speakers so far. Serene said specifically, refugee education continues to be a poorly theorized and conceived field. That's our first motivation, is we really don't understand what work is going on. It's happening in silos. We have no synergy. We have no collaboration. And as Maha said, we really need to work beyond just mental health and psychological studies. We need to look into things like language. We need to look into different dimensions of education to really understand how different people are experiencing transit, experiencing displacement, resettlement, every single part of the process. Both Mohammed and Jonathan have presented work that involves language in their studies, but linguists are not part of the conversation. Linguists are not stepping up. They aren't participating properly. And so we really need for the literature to reflect what's really going on. We need linguists to be focused, to be consuming the literature that y'all are creating, to be consuming the data and contributing. And so we're developing an academic infrastructure for linguists to get more engaged, for us to have more engagement and more responsibility in this role. So again, our main focus is to just bridge the need that exists, the many languages that people are learning in transit, in displacement, in all aspects of being forcibly moved, making sure that we're challenging our assumptions, challenging potentially things such as English hegemony, challenging various different topics that prevent us from moving forward as an academic team. And then again, making sure that people, as we've talked about, people from the Global South, people who have experienced displacement, are absolutely leading. Not just participation, not the meaningful participation where someone's sitting in a room, we nod, listen, and then don't continue to engage. We need profound engagement. And as Yongcan mentioned, we came up with the acronym Care Learn because of our care for learning, our care for co-learning, our care for us to educate ourselves to be better at doing research, at being collaborators, at being civil society folk. Again, our goals specifically are to define the field of refugee language education, to do critical reviews, look through all elements of studies from various different fields that have in some way touched on language, and synthesize what we really do know and what we really need to start learning. Additionally, supporting scholars is vital. We really need to make sure that we're informing policy, as again was mentioned by Serene. A lot of our work is not actually engaging with policy. So recognizing that that's unacceptable, we can't just be writing into a void, and we need to have more bodies to make sure that there is an engagement that is presentable, that's consumable, that we can share literature with policy stakeholders more clearly by presenting it very clearly. And then again, just making sure that we're involving people who have meaningful, who have actual lived experience, that we're actually trusting experts and prioritizing their feedback over our own. And ultimately just creating high quality language programs throughout different sectors. So, as you can see, our ultimate goals are higher quality refugee education, really making sure experience is centered, and that people who are displaced are experiencing higher well-being and enhanced experience in learning, something that's catered for them, something that's informed by consistent knowledge, both from communities and from academic experts. Making sure that policy can really be revolutionized, and really making sure that we fill this decision-making gap. So again, who we are is going to be many interdisciplinary bodies of folk and all stakeholders who should be engaged in these conversations, making sure in the ways we can. Again, this is the birth of our unit. We're going to see where it goes, and we rely on you for direction as we develop it further past our initial goals. But we really hope to be a space where we can sufficiently link academics, community members, policymakers, and other kinds of stakeholders in spaces, in forums, in symposia, where people can really have dialogue about education specifically. I love that everything today has touched on education in some way or another. I love that we have had beautiful reviews of what is lacking in the literature overall in refugee education. So we're trying to synthesize that down to education specific, language education specifically. So the things you'll be seeing from us in the next few weeks, next few months, maybe next 3 years, is contributing to the sanctuary initiatives of many amazing people here, including Tugba, with the Refugee Hub. We are members of the Refugee Hub, which did not make that clear. We are a unit of the Refugee Hub. Apologies for not making that clear sooner. We will again be working to define the field and creating documents that allow people to really know what we need to investigate, what is most pressing from the literature, and then again, what is most pressing from communities in refugee language education, and reaching out to policymakers. I know there are policymakers in the room right now, so please do feel free to connect with us and let us know how we can really engage with that sector. So again, I promise to be short, speedy, energetic. I'd love to open up discussion. Again, we are fostering a new field. We really need to hear from you. Yeah, please take photos. These are our contact information. I'm running the Gmail and will be sure to be responsive to any communications I get. But again, the closing question is, based on your experience, everyone here is an expert in more ways than I can count. What do you think Care Learn should engage in? I mentioned our initial priority tasks, but that's what we decided alongside some other experts. We are not aware of the entire field. We have a lot to learn, so please do inform us. Thank you all so much for entertaining us at the end of a very jam-packed day. Appreciate you.